Hey y'all, Peter Bros Golf Show, back at it again. I am Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Welcome back on in, y'all. I'm feeling a little energized this week. We'll see if I posted on my socials. Let's see if it gets us a little extra traction. You didn't repost or anything, my guy.
Uh, all right, let me go. You do your introductions. Let me catch up real quick.
I'm struggling over here. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. Interesting week this week. We have another first time winner on the PGA Tour and Joe Highsmith. First set a record as well. Player that made the cut on the number to go on to win. First time that has ever happened in PGA Tour history. Pretty interesting development. What'd you think about it, man?
Um, was it the first time they had a list up? When I looked, it was
First of
maybe
cut makers to win.
yeah, said because Rory was on it and he was on there from like 2010 and he made the list.
Okay. Well, golf.com is a liar then.
In recent
Apparently they
history, though,
well, they said only one on the number. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some nuance to the Rory situation. Who knows? But
yeah,
either way, we're gonna go over what's in the bag later that actually using a similar putter as Joe Highsmith, and that's what got hot for him down the stretch, making birdies from all over the place, but also hitting it pretty close. Um, One thing that I'd recommend to anybody if they live anywhere near a corn fair event, go check it out. So I saw Joe Highsmith a couple of years ago playing at Texas Rangers golf course here in DFW, and the guy can fill it up. I mean, he can go
yeah.
score and get birdies like nobody's business. So this wasn't very surprising for me. I had the opportunity to kind of follow his group as he kind of got hot that day. And it was very apparent that he is a really good ball striker when he gets it going, as he displayed at PGA National. So to me, it didn't come as a huge surprise. Big talent. I will say also, PGA National overseeded for the first time in a long time. Looked amazing. It had me wanting to go out to Florida and get around in. How much did you get to actually watch this week and partake in on the PGA side?
I watched a good bit of it. It was good to see. I mean, it was what early afternoon, 1 o'clock or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like I saw a lot of action. Um, Overall, Joe. I mean, in 34 PGA starts, I don't know if that. I think that's like a year and a half. That's pretty quick. I think that's kind
Yeah.
of impressive in itself. Took advantage of the opportunity. Weird putting stroke. Um, Left hand conventional, right hand pencil grip, but he's left handed.
Yeah.
So I know there'll be video for y'all to check out. I just thought that was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I felt like just weird. Jake Knapp didn't really do much else after the 59.
Well, that he was in contention and he had that triple bogey on 15, I think it was. That I
Yeah,
don't want to say the whole. I don't want to say the whole number, but it was a triple bogey where he tried to hit it out of the water and failed. So that essentially put him behind the eight ball, which he would have been at 18 under had everything else held at that point, and actually would have had a chance. Right? It's a completely different outlook without that triple bogey on the card on the back nine. So that was a big factor for him, for Jake Knapp at least.
yeah. I mean, just like you put in your show notes, though. I mean, a lot of guys that just couldn't really close the door, so it kind of had like a empty feeling, especially since I feel like Highsmith finished pretty early on in the coverage, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
not a lot of waiting, but some waiting, more than he would like, more than whatever. But No, I thought it was a good week for him, and I thought PJ National really presented well on TV. The coverage was good. I felt like we got a lot of action shots.
That exactly. I was gonna call that out. They were moving from shot to shot and
Yeah,
sticking with the leaders really well.
maybe we were talking to like a lot of shit, but however it may come, bullying works, and we got something accomplished. And then next week we have a elevated event, so we get to see a lot of action and the best
Hmm.
players doing it or past winners from last year. So we'll see. I don't want to jump the gun though. Let's get back to our little tally list.
No, 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 it was cool. No, that was a really good point. I did notice that it was very noticeable. They were
Yeah,
just really going shot to shot, a lot of iron shots out of the fairway, not just seeing putting all day, and then
right.
drives where you don't get to see the results. So I think it was
Yeah,
a really good play. But let's talk about some of these players that we've been seeing week in and week out. That some, there's one winner in here, a couple winners actually, but several people that are not able to that we're seeing on leaderboards but not able to kind of get over the hump. And I just
yeah,
kind of named some ones that I've been seeing every week, but one we even talked about earlier this year. Ben Griffin's one, had a chance to win late last year, kind of threw it away, 18th hole.
yeah,
Highly talented guy, always near the top of the leaderboard, in contention,
yeah,
but has not been able to close. JJ Spawn, we mentioned him at YLI, really not, in a position to win, not aggressive enough going down the stretch. Jake Knapp, as we already talked about, first time winner last year, really smooth swing. We love his game. Has not been able to get back into the winner's circle since Mexico of last year. Michael Kim, 54 hole leader, not able to shut the door. Good
yeah,
player, great on Twitter. Another one of those names. Max Gracerman, we saw him at the Wyndham last year. Really good.
yeah,
Been in contention quite a bit. Not able to close the door. And one long term guy that's been on the tour, cannot get the job done when it matters. Patrick Rogers.
yeah,
I really want that. I mean, highly talented guy, looks the part, has the game, just does not seem to perform on Sundays coming down the stretch. I want to see
yeah,
Patrick Rogers get a win at some point before his career's out. Is he a Hall of Famer? Hell no. He couldn't go on any type of run to get there, but it just seems it's crazy that he hasn't been able to get one win on the board in his career. What do you think
yeah.
about that list? Is there anybody else that I missed?
Um, I don't know. I mean, but there probably is, but from the list, I mean, I don't know. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't think Ben Griffin ever crosses the finish line. I'm just saying. I don't think it's in his plans. But I think a lot of money is still in his plans. He gonna be a career top tenner. Every now and
Yeah,
again, he gonna peak and get a top five. Ain't nothing wrong with getting 400, 500K and getting a close second and stuff like that. There are guys on the tour that know how to win and win, regardless of the stature, regardless of what's going on. I mean, that's why stars are stars, bro. It doesn't matter what's happening. They're gonna find a way to get a win. And I feel like it's just got to be a honeymoon type situation for Ben Griffin. And the same might be being said about Max Grieserman and Patrick Rogers. Unfortunately, Patrick Rogers just prodigious college player. I mean, fell in the footsteps of all the great college players. Like, oh, will it translate? Is he gonna is he gonna be able to do that on the tour? And
hmm,
clearly, he has not been able to do it. So winning on tour and winning in college is clearly different. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like he was just talking about he redid his swing. Um, the week Aber won, they were talking about his
yeah.
swing and kind of doing the same thing Rory was doing, just refixing it to where it's a repeatable shot. I don't know. I don't know, man. JJ
Which
Spine,
I think
we talk about his
you're right
caddy,
though.
and it'll bring me right.
Just to kind of pause on the Ben Griffin point, you're right. he may never get a win or spotty, but the man knows how to get money. He's got 7.8 million in career earnings when he joined the tour in 2023, which was a late ad when they were still doing the wraparound. So
Yeah,
7.8 million in a couple of years, pretty good.
yeah, and I think him and his wife is fine. Remember, he came out with that. He had a nice little reel or whatever with expenses and stuff like that, and what it was to travel and stuff like that. I think this is one of our finance bros. I think he is. But you kept
Yeah,
telling me not to
he
call him
was.
that.
No,
He's
I
like,
mean
don't put.
that's
You
what he was
said don't
in.
lump him in that.
Well, he had quit golf, and that's what he was gonna do. I think he was in, some form of finance, mortgages, or something like that, and
Yeah,
then gave it one more shot, one more shot, and I always go back to again watching him on Corn Ferry Tour, rallying, coming back after a rough start, and the kid's got some grittiness, but it does take a different level mentally to get over that hump. But you were
yeah.
talking about JJ Spawn and his caddying deal.
No, I'm piggybacking off of you. Yeah, I was saying you
Yeah,
may be right. He might need a change of scenery. He's maybe gotten too comfortable, and he's just really kind of hanging on to that Valero Texas Open and stuff like that. You know, it
yeah.
might be time, bro. I mean, dude, stars are making moves with caddies. I don't even know who JT's caddy is right now. Um,
Doesn't even matter.
right, everybody again, just like the winning thing, everybody's not lucky enough to have a career caddy. Like, bro, like Scotty went from one caddy to Ted Scott, and he not leaving. I mean, Jordan Spieth, Michael Greller, they're not splitting. Like, whatever dynamic they have going, it's an amazing one. Because he's been on the bag for
Yeah,
12 years straight, and there has not been any ever negative ongoing behind the scenes in the camera, nothing. They really enjoy each other's company, and it's produced wins and majors. So it's not even like you would need to think about going somewhere else, So again,
yeah,
never really, you just don't know. And you'll never know if you don't go find something else and see if that rejuvenates you or moves you on to the next level. So I don't know, man. I'm yapping right now, but I want JJ Spawn to win clearly again. But
well, speaking of caddies, Joe LaCava Jr. was on Joe Highsmith's bag this week, so they're a pair. So maybe there
nice.
is. I mean, I think there is some credence to having a quality caddy. Surely Joe LaCava Jr. has learned from his dad.
Yeah.
Being on the bag of Tiger, being around his dad and Tiger to a certain degree has helped him out professionally. There's just
Yeah.
no way that some of that doesn't rub off. So to be able to kind of pass that knowledge along to your player, um, we say this every week that we have a first time winner. I hope that this is not a one and done situation for Joe Highsmith.
Truly.
Again, I think the guy is highly talented, and is just getting his career started. So, like you said, 30 starts in for him to be able to conquer that and look comfortable doing so. Seems like he
Yeah.
has a lot of support. I'm rooting for the guy. I think he seems like a really good guy. You never really know, right, who people are on the back end, but again, I don't like to see people just kind of do it one time and then that's kind of what we're struggling with,
Yeah.
um, with the current league, right? Outside of Scotty, Xander, there's a big separation between that next group, right? There's a
Yeah.
definite shelf there where then everybody else falls off, and I think Rory has even gone second tier to a certain degree. He doesn't win at the same clip and the majors that we saw from Xander and from Scotty. So then there's a whole nother third tier of really good guys, but not as consistent as they would like to be. So
Yeah.
um let's let's transition a couple of combined stories. Jordan Spieth is one of those guys that you mentioned when you were talking about Michael Greller, long time caddy deal situation. They finished tied for ninth this week. Wasn't good enough for him to get that sponsor's invite or automatic invite into this week's Arnold Palmer Invitational. He seemed a little bit salty about that. A couple of not questionable, but a couple of guys got in on sponsors invites. I think a Campos, a guy who I just learned about in the Butterfield Bermuda Open last year.
Yeah, he
Not
won.
a major name, but it's just Jordan Spieth hasn't had the game the last handful of years, dealing with
Right, he's coming off
injuries,
an injury.
swing changes, all kinds of stuff going on with Jordan. Um, but again, he was a little bit salty. But I did, our last handful of no name what's in the bags haven't gone so well. Just so I figured while we got some new info on Jordan Spieth, I figured we go over his what's in the bag. So you want to jump in on that, or to have any other comments about Jordan Spieth not getting into the elevated event this week?
I mean, the only thing that I have to say is that he hasn't been playing. If he had been playing, maybe with some good trending, you would have made that list. But that's just not. I wasn't in the cards for you, Mr. Spieth. I mean, this is like his third event this year. He didn't get into the elevated events earlier this season. So, I mean, what's the big deal about you not getting into the AP? It's 1 year. You play good enough, like you said, jokingly or smart aleckly or whatever you want to say. But just play better.
Uh,
Get into it next
I
year.
know, I know, but imagine where he mentally for him, where he's been early on in his career, to
Privileged.
have the fall off that he's had through a number of different factors. It wasn't just down to he's played injured. I mean, we don't know. I mean, he could have had an ongoing, lingering injury that he didn't quite reveal. But his play has definitely suffered outside of kind of sneaking in and winning the what's that with the tartan jacket in South Carolina. It's slipping my brain right now.
The
Where
heritage.
he won the RBC Heritage, where he won that a couple of years ago, but that was one kind of drop in the pan. Let's get into his what's in the bag. This is his latest as of January. Go through it and hit the high points. So he's
Yeah.
got this custom AT&T bag going on. Old Jordan Spieth hairline. I swear it falls back just a little bit every year. So still playing the TSR2. A lot of wear on that bad boy. A lot of reps with the Fujikara Ventus Black 6X SX words with the D1 SureFit setting. Any comments here?
The I guess the two is more like the more forgiving one where you can just swing it a little bit harder. The three setting, which I have the TSR3. It's more
Mm-hmm.
just the weighting you can change up and stuff like that. But when these guys hit it out the middle so much, they don't really need a lot of that stuff. Especially like I hate to harp on it, but they're playing injected shit. They're playing a lot of different clubs that we don't get to touch. So his club is probably a TSR2 by title, but it's probably something else inside. So yeah, I still think it's a great club though. I mean, mine is
Yeah.
amazing. It's only 1 year old, so let's see what the deal is. I think it's good.
Yeah. Um, 3 wood, 15 degree, nothing special. TSR3. Again, mentioning the Mitsubishi Tensei AV Raw Blue 75 Tourex shaft. This is really becoming a popular 3 wood shaft. We've seen this a
Yeah.
number of different times where people are putting the blue. I've mentioned it's the spinnier of the shafts, which doesn't surprise me that people would want a little more spin on their 3 woods, particularly going into greens on par fives. So not surprising, but one that we're seeing quite a bit this year. Um, Again, wrestling the title away from the Fujikara Ventus as the number one shaft. They're definitely putting up a fight in this thing, and I'm wondering if it's just. I mean, I think it's a good shaft. I'm wondering if there was just too much hype around the Ventus, where everybody just ran to it. But we're seeing people migrating back to other stuff or out
Yeah.
of it. What do you think about that aspect?
Well, I mean, I think so. Well, the thing about the Ventus is if it's a Velocore, which is kind of like the uppity version of the Ventus shaft, then yeah, you're getting a different shaft. It's a lot boardier. It's a lot more consistent. It's definitely the upgrade that would make it worth the while. But if it's just like a regular Venice Blue or regular Venice Black, then it's not much difference, and the Tensei is definitely outstepping
Mm,
it on in that aspect. But yeah, it's just a Velocore. Like you got to look it up. I don't know it off the top what the specs are, but it definitely for sure solidifies the shaft as a great shaft, and that's
okay.
for
So
sure.
there,
Like
this again, it's one of those things where what we're getting at our fitters is probably not what they're playing.
we can get it, it's just more expensive. It's like a upgraded shaft. It's probably $300 charge upwards of that if you get it, and you can get that through TaylorMade or Titleist or any major dealer really right now. But
Mhm.
the Ping has a really nice tour stiff shaft, so you don't really have to really deviate from what they got going on. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I
I
love my
don't love it.
Tensei. Well, for a
Yeah,
stock shaft where you're not getting an upgrade, then it's a good
that's
shaft.
true. It's yeah, it's not nothing to be sneezed at. But as soon as I could get something better and move over to the Tensei Orange, yeah, I got that adapter switched out quickly. Um,
Right.
so this one's interchangeable. I couldn't find a good photo, but he does play this hybrid, particularly when he's stateside. The TS2 at 21 degrees, again the A1 sure fit setting with the Graphite Tour Design AD at 95 and that Tour X. He does alternate a 3 iron, especially when they go play overseas and kind of more link style course where you're going to get more
Hmm.
rollout. He will play that 3 iron, which we've seen again with the slightly heavier Tour AD shaft. We've seen that orange and white for a long time when he's playing that, and occasionally I think he plays a little bit more. I've seen him switch out that T200, a little more of a chunky boy 3 iron as
Hmm.
well. But yeah, he plays with this club quite a bit, just depending on the conditions. Any comments on kind of that kind of part of his bag?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have a replacement, a backup. Right now, I'm really enjoying my hybrid, but I still have a driving iron that I keep handy just in case, and it
I was
does
gonna
about the
ask you, has
same.
it? I was gonna ask you, had it made a return yet?
No, no, my hybrid it's way too good right now. I mean, I hit it off
Yeah,
the tee well in my last trip. I mean, just anywhere I need it, I can hit it good. If I don't really want to, try out my 3 wood or whatever, which I'm getting more confident with again. I don't know what I was
yeah,
doing, but I think it was ball placement, just getting it a little bit too far forward. But the 3 wood's been coming back. But my hybrid is just whenever I need it, I can call on it. So that's
yeah.
off the tee in the greens, longer par threes and stuff like that. So yeah, I've really been enjoying my 3 hybrid, and it's a TSR 3. I really, really enjoy it and the imprint that it has.
Cool. Kind of already alluded to this. Playing the Titleist T100 irons, 4 through 9, usually with the Project X 125. Um,
Nice
we
shaft.
we always get. You said say that again.
It's a nice shaft.
Yeah. Always a little bit surprising when they go a little bit lighter to that 125 range versus let's say 130. Big we've seen a couple of 135s this year as well. Um, but you know, pretty straightforward here, not surprising. He's been playing these for a few years now. Then we kind of transitioned into the wedges. Again, no real surprises playing the SM10s. I do appreciate the detail on the lofts here.
Hmm.
Very specific lofting. That pitching wedge at 46.5, the gap at 51.5, the sand wedge 55.5, and then the lob wedge at 60.5. Very specific stuff going on here. Playing again, surprisingly light shafts for wedges. Project X, that one's kind of on par with his set. Going through the pitch and wedge, but then 120. on the rest of his wedges. So very interesting, very light for wedge shafts. Usually we see them go a little bit heavier. What do you think about that move from Jordan?
I don't think that's that uncommon. I mean, a lot of pros are playing like 125s and stuff like that. There's just really not a need to swing a heavier shaft if you don't need to. I mean, a lot of people are trying to create speed and become more athletic. I think that's what the game is gravitating towards. We talk about that a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so Jordan's getting a little bit older as it is. So yeah, he doesn't really need to swing 130s and S400s and stuff like that. It's just not even necessary. I think the
Yeah.
gap in on his wedges is weirder to me, but I mean I guess that's a three wedge setup though. You don't need to have your gapping tighter when you're going like that. And that plays into his short game. He's a field guy as it is. So I
Yeah.
guess he just plays a lot of, I don't know, 52 to 60. That's a big jump, bro. I don't know if I'm like trying to dial a 52 back to a 90-yard shot, and I absolutely don't want to have to rip a 60 degree to go 90.
Yeah.
That to me,
I,
but that's an amateur. I'm not Jordan Speed. That's
well, I
probably
think
his.
we see him throwing a lot of shots past the flag and spinning them and ripping them back. He has a
True.
lot of spin,
Yeah.
which I think some of these lofts play to. I'm always a fan of the 55-degree wedge. It was one of the first wedges that I started playing with. So,
Oh, he does have
um,
a 56. I'm slow. That's a four.
yeah. You missed
It,
that one in the middle there.
I'm literally looking at the screen and I'm like, 51.5,
I
65.
know
Like, what
it's
is?
it's so weird because the all the decimals, right? That mess
See, yeah,
that we're not used to seeing.
all them fives that you blended on in. Damn,
Put
that's
your
on
put your
me.
put your contacts in.
That's my fault.
Um, and then we have this putter that we've seen forever. Well worn grip here. That bad boy gets some work to be sure.
Yeah, it
Um,
got put in timeout though.
because he's trying out some different stuff.
Yeah, he tried out. I mean, you can call it that, but it ain't really trying it out. It's the tailor-made version. It's a tailor-made version of the Scotty. It's just as old. It's just as worn. Same blade build, same neck, same putter grip. It's just a tailor-made with a different face. I mean, it's almost hand like shoulder length on that thing, bro. I swear to God, it's almost the same
Yeah,
putter. It's just tailor-made.
yeah,
I mean, it's just like one of their my TPs or their PLDs or something like that from TaylorMade. Just their tour use only type deal. But
right.
it's a nice
Right.
looking putter. It's just newer.
It is. It is. All right, and that's Jordan Spieth's what's in the bag, and also he's playing the Pro V1X, which we're a big fan of this year. Great
Yeah,
ball this
great
year.
ball.
So that's his Jordan Spieth's bag. Want to go over somebody a little more known again. Surprise winner this week with Joe Highsmith. So the information was out there, but not a lot of actual pictures. So I didn't want to do a half-ass version of a what's in the bag.
Hmm.
All right. Let's jump across the ocean. Give ourselves a little bit of break talking. I have a video queued up from Dylan Nadu, who is a native of South Africa, winning on home turf. They played in a shortened tournament this week due to rain. Their
Yeah.
course was actually very nice, right off the
Hmm.
water. Very visually stunning. um, I got to catch a lot of the Sunday coverage. Very interesting layout on that course. Kind of a links mixed with Parkland. It was an interesting layout to be sure. But good seems like a really good kid. Been seeing his name up on leaderboards. He's actually not that deep into his career. I
Yeah.
think he had 30 starts. And I think he in this interview that we're gonna watch, he mentions one maybe get it done earlier, but I mean, right on pace if you ask me. So I'm gonna play this, and then we'll
Yeah,
come
he's
back.
just 27.
Yeah, like chill out, sir. We see Scotty getting himself going at 25, 26, 27.
Right.
I was trying to check my heart rate. I don't know what it is. How does this feel? Dylan Naidoo, South African Open champion.
I don't know what to say, OG. I really don't know what to say after a lot of really difficult times. A lot of times I thought I'd do this earlier in my career. A lot of times where, wow, I don't know what to say. This is a special moment for me. It's a special moment for everybody here in Durban. It's overwhelming. Jeepers.
I can imagine. I think Tony mentioned it. I think from the moment you came in this morning, you've looked really calm. Standing over that chip, I think Anthony said he'll give you 99.5 out of 100. What were the emotions like, and then to execute that shot?
That type of shot is my bread and butter, a little low skipper. The boys who play practice rounds with me know I do that all the time. I didn't have a lot of fear on the shot. It was actually a really nice shot for me to have in the moment. I was more worried about the putt. That putter went back a little squiggly, but it went in. So, yeah, sure. I can't believe it, OG.
Finally, how superb was it to have this crowd rallying you behind you?
I said yesterday, it felt like I was Tiger Woods. Like, there were people, so many people. I mean, all the energy that I had, I can't thank everyone enough for coming out yesterday, today. I'm speechless.
Congratulations, your first DP World Tour victory in Durban. Well done, Dylan.
Thanks so much, OG. Thank you.
What a moment. I'm glad he wasn't speechless.
Super cool moment. Doing it on home turf with people that you know. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. You can just tell he's over the moon. Always, worry about them teeing it up the next week, and all that emotion that they blew out, and winning on home turf. That it's tough to come back the next week and perform at a decent level. So congrats to that young man. Seems over the moon about it. He went into a playoff with Laurie Cantor, who he's part of one of our stories. So Laurie Cantor, live defectee, will be teeing it up in the Players Championship after getting back on the DP World Tour. Last played with Liv a little over a year ago, so he's been grinding it out. Again, kind of with that entry back onto the DP World Tour, he's been climbing the world rankings and has gotten into the top 50 enough to qualify for the Players. So he's the first guy that joined Liv that has been able to play again on the PGA Tour. And yeah, what do you think about that, man? I mean, quietly, Cantor was on a good path a few years ago. Ryder Cup guy, gave it up for Liv, and I guess decided it wasn't for him. What do you think about him making it back?
I mean, it's cool. It's whatever. I mean, he plays every week. He doesn't really do anything besides play golf. So, I mean, luckily he plays enough to be good. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what would merit it. I mean, I'm glad he made the decision to come back, get back on a regular tour, and did what he was supposed to do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that excited about it. It's just, to me, you made a decision. It cost you a lot. You took an L. Now you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You could have been doing this years ago. So I just don't really have a lot of sympathy or excitement for it. But congrats to him. I try not to be a hater as much as possible.
Real salty today. You sound salty today, man.
Yeah, man. It's cool. It's whatever. I mean, I don't think he's gonna make a mark on the Players. I think that's a second time around course. I don't think he just has beginner's luck like that. There's only maybe 3 or so first-time players at the Players that went out and won it, and I guess it just suited their shot shape. But I mean, I just wanted to harp on Dylan Naidoo a little bit more. I mean, the kid is 27 and already has a plan on his mind that he's a winner. That's already refreshing. And like, as much as I saw the interview and wanted to be a hater, I can't, because like, if for him to think at 27 he should have won earlier, I think that's really more recency bias and stuff like that. Like, bro, like, you got so much life to live. You are going to get so many more opportunities to do that. So I just thought that was a little bit short-sighted on his part. But I'm so happy he had confidence in to hit that shot. I mean, it looked like off the tee when he played in the playoff, he has like a nice, refined homemade swing. So it's not ever too technical, but it's technical enough to where it's repeatable and it's going to get him out there, long enough. So, I mean, because Laurie Counter is a long hitter, a taller guy,
Yeah.
wiry, long swing, and they were eye to eye on the same chip shot right in front of the green. So, to me, I just think it's a lot to be said about that, and I'm glad he had a good fan base to watch him come through for his first win.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
if you know the history of apartheid in South Africa, him actually having the opportunity to get in that position. Typically, we haven't seen people of color make it very far from South Africa, even
yeah,
though they are the majority of the population there. So kudos to him for overcoming and, like you said, having the confidence to step up to the plate when the opportunity was presented to him. Not the first time that we've seen the name. He's put himself in that position to win. So it's always
yeah,
good when you see people doing that. Kind of the typical DP World Tour crew over there. Names that we see. Saw Marcel Seam on Sunday as well.
yeah,
Always good to see him, trying to compete. But the pace of play is something that I was also picking up over there. They keep it moving, and they were playing in groups of three, trying to get them out and going. And every time you looked up, they were coming off of number one pretty quickly and keeping the groups moving. So
yeah,
I appreciate the pace of play on the DP World Tour. They have it figured out clearly. Um, so things that we can appreciate.
yeah. No facts.
While we're overseas in Singapore, girl Lydia Ko, we mentioned her last week that she typically doesn't play in on the Asian swing, at least not every tournament, right? We will
Right.
see Gino Thitical every single week out there. But Lydia Ko showed up and showed out with the four-stroke victory. Wasn't really even in question on the final day.
Right.
She looked really good, really polished. Looks like she hasn't missed a beat from last year, which we said how remarkable of a season she had in 2024, which was her having a really good season before then, winning the PME Globe in the previous year. So Lydia Ko's had a 3-year stretch, really for the ages for her, right? We see her
Yeah.
qualify for the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Tell me what you thought. I thought she looked amazing. I thought she looked really good, really sharp.
Yeah. 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 For sure. On that last day, she did. She looked great. I mean, throughout the tournament, she just was really consistent. Really, I mean, she said it though. I mean, she's a Hall of Famer now. A lot of that anxiety and unease and stuff, that's out the window. She just be out there having fun now. She just be
Yeah,
chilling, and one thing not to overshadow Lydia Ko because we all know the pedigree that Lydia Ko is, but to me, when LPGA winners, it looks like they are far and away the best player out there. Like it's a lot of scrums, it's a lot of fighting going on the PGA, on the DP World Tour. But right now, I feel like the top players are far and away the top players. But that's on a week by week basis, though. I don't know how to explain it because like Angel Yin isn't a top 10 player in the LPGA Rolex rankings. But
no,
when she won, damn sure did look like a top 5 player. You know what I'm saying? Like she definitely looked like she fit the bill. So
yeah,
I don't know. The ladies game is just really in a spot of like flow state. It's just in a really good spot. It's really good golf. It's intriguing. The courses
yeah,
always seem playable and fun. And they are going to places where the people want to see them play golf. Like
no doubt.
the fans are there. The fans are there.
I remember last year when Green won it. The people around that Green complex on 18 were so live and with it.
Just
So
happy.
yeah, Yeah, they love golf on in the Asian side of the world.
For real.
They really do enjoy the game, which is interesting because, and I think they love the women's game because we've seen Live Golf play over there, and while the events are attended, it's still not at the same level when the LPGA shows up to
Right.
town. So they really do have a following, truly a global game for the ladies. And I get what you're saying in terms of when the players show up. We're seeing some consistent names week in and week out. We don't see people just completely fall off the map where
Right.
they win and then they go away for years. We
Yeah.
just do not see that on the LPGA. Their good players stay really good for a significant amount of time, and we
Yeah.
could go through the names of people who are always really close and play well enough, but have a hard time winning because the competition is super steep. I think of names like Furaway, who's always competing, Jin
Yeah.
Young Ko, um, Minji Lee, really good golfer, cannot
Really good
get
golf.
over the hump right now because the talent is so deep. And these are just
Yeah.
women who are competing at a really high level, but again, have a hard time crossing over. And because there's just the competition level is so high. We talk about the driving accuracy. You have to play out of the fairway if you're going to be on the LPGA. You can't be
Right.
in the rough in this league
And
and
you gotta
expect to
have
win.
11, 12 birdie putts, or better be damn good with the short game. Don't get left behind. I
Yeah.
mean, Lydia won with 13 this week, but
Surprising.
last
Yeah.
week, right? Last week was 29. You let me know. She won 3 weeks ago or whatever before the break. She put up 21, 22 or whatever. And that's another
Yeah.
name. Yulimi No has not fallen off since she won. She did not take a little honeymoon phase and, really soak it in. She went right back to work. And she's been on the leaderboards again. That's a lot to be
every
that's a
time.
lot to be said about her. She's 24 and still playing like that. Hungry. That's good. I
Very,
mean,
very much so. So last year, looking at the Blue Bay, which is where they're heading this week, the winning score was 19 under. So we're probably going to see close to 20 again.
yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I really have enjoyed the last couple of weeks watching the LPGA. Time window has been superb. So really enjoying seeing that. Might be a little bit different now that they're going to be in China, but these last couple of weeks have been really good for the window that they've been in.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be 10. It's going to be 10 a.m. or so, a little bit later, but still prime time for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's see here.
10 to 2, 10 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah. Very, very, very tolerable. Don't feel like I'm staying up later than I should be.
Yeah.
Let's hit this little I know you, just so I can see your saltiness about Liv. We had Fred Couples come out talking about Brooks Koepka. Seems like they were pretty close from Ryder Cup interactions. Probably both live in Florida.
Yeah.
So he had a quote about Brooks today. See if I can get this up.
As vocal as I was, because everything's kind of calmed down, and I want to say John Rahm is the last guy to leave, or maybe there's been one or two more.
Basically the last big star.
But no one,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bash. I talk to Brooks Koepka all the time. I love Brooks Koepka, and I'm not going to say anything extra except I talk to him all the time. Where are you playing next? And when you going and all this stuff. And he wants to come back. I will say that I believe he really wants to come back and play the tour. But for me personally, there are a lot of guys that are going to be pushed out. I don't, like Jim said, I don't know how you get an elevated event with 72 or 77 people and bring 7 superstars in. What do you tell those other 7? Yeah, go, bye-bye. And I'm not nearly as vocal as I was because everything's kind of calmed down. And I want to say John Rahm is the last guy to leave, or maybe there's been one.
So that was starting to turn over. But yeah, what do you think about Fred Couples asserting that Brooks is ready to return to the PJ Tour? Not surprising. I
Right.
think Brooks' attention span is very low for golf. We know he doesn't love the game, isn't in love with it. It's not his first love. He was a baseball guy, but much better at golf, and clearly has carved his way winning majors. But live golf is boring. I mean, you're not really competing. It's hard for him to get up. We seen him turn up for majors, PGA Championship a couple of years ago. But yeah, what do you think about Fred just coming out there and saying it?
I mean, Fred is an OG in the game. You can't hate on what he says. I mean, it's very true. I mean, real friends, real athletes and competitors miss Brooks. So I mean, it's not like it's not mutual. I mean, I when he's on tour, I enjoy Brooks.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same. Like he's not one of the ones that you hate on, and I think he pretty much came out and said why he went over there as it was. I mean, he's to me up the lines with DJ. You know what it was? They paid me a lot of money, and I
Yeah.
enjoy
And
playing situational ball.
I say slightly different for Brooks just because at the time we saw that from Full Swing, which I still have not watched the current season. Last week was just super busy, but he was saying the injury was a large part of him taking the money just because he didn't know where he was going to be with that knee versus DJ clearly just didn't want to play golf. DJ seems to hate golf at this point. But I think Brooks and was more so like, hey, I need some security. Never really committed full to me, like just watching him interact on Live, his heart was never in the situation at all. He
Yeah.
looks like he's just there for we know he's there for the check. Never bought into the whole like Live apparel thing. He still rocks his Nike stuff super hard.
Well, he probably still
Unlogoed.
has some exclusive stuff. You
I
know, he's
know, but
probably got
that's
an
rare.
exclusive deal.
No doubt. But given how much like people who have moved over to Live continue to wear the gear. So like forgot to mention this earlier. We were talking DP World Tour. Brandon Grace is another guy that has, clearly as he's playing more has regained a little bit of his form and was actually in contention last week. But again, lived out, has Live Golf all over his shirt and hat and whatnot. So anyway, as it relates to Brooks, I can't wait to see this thing come back together. But I also agree with Fred that it's going to be very interesting who gets left out in the cold when this all happens. That there's going to be a lot of guys expecting a spot back that aren't going to be ranked high enough to get qualified for PGA Tour entry immediately. So despite this reunification, there's only a handful of guys that the PGA Tour really wants, and I think Rory's been out and about talking about not Brooks, but Bryson pretty heavily lately. Um, so I know they've been talking in the background, and it seems like a lot of the conversation is definitely heating up. But yeah, I think there's credence to what Fred was saying that people are going to get their feelings hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing for them to change the rules again. They'll be fine, bro. You push the field up to 90. That's still not the full 125. You make it a cut. 25 people go home. 65 people make bread. Oh my God. It's a limited field event. Still
Limited, yeah.
Bro, like it's fine. It's okay, bro. Like
yeah.
But I think sometimes people overthink that shit.
Yeah, but the Martin Keimers of the world are going to be real disappointed that they don't. They're going to be
who's looking to invite Martin Keimer back?
You wouldn't want the clique Martin Keimer back on the PGA Tour?
That miracle ass 2014 US Open he won, bro. Get him out of here.
I mean,
bro.
The man was on it though. That week could no one. He had the week of his life that week.
Yeah, he putted from off the green from like 20 feet off and stuff. Yeah, bro. He plotted his way around.
That cut was working, and it worked well for those saucer greens. that particular week because they were crispy, but the cut definitely came in handy. That's
Yeah.
when we were really first getting into golf. I was obsessed at that point.
Oh, truly. We had all the Nike gear by then. That was 2 years in.
Let's see what else is left on the list. Nike Golf, bro. So over on the
Wow,
Instagram, me and Marcus have been getting, I'm sure one post breeds another one, but then it came over the PGA Tour. You know, we've been seeing people rediscovering Nike golf equipment as if it was super garbage. As Marcus just mentioned, we played Nike stuff heavily. Like that, we were Nike guys through and through. And I get it. Like some of the equipment was hit or miss, maybe didn't perform at the same level as Titleist or TaylorMade stuff. But when it worked, it was really good stuff. Like some of the wedges, garbage. I think it was the Engage wedges, super garbage.
Yeah.
But drivers, actually pretty decent. Woods, decent. We loved the pro combos up until a handful of years ago. They were still keeping up. And I think we probably could have both changed out the shafts and kept them going for a little bit longer. But
they in the closet for that very reason. If I find like some decent shafts that I just can throw money on, I'm gonna put them in and see what they do.
I'm gonna need my 7-iron back though, man. You gonna hold my 7-iron hostage?
You know what? You can have the highlighter green back. It's fine, man.
Whatever. So we found this clip also last week of a Paul Peterson, older guy, 36, kind of just now making his way onto the PGA Tour, a lefty at that. That was testing out different clubs, and I'm gonna play a short version of a clip because it's like 4 or 5 minutes. But let me pull up this picture of these Nike Vapor Pro irons playing, just so you can get your mind wrapped around what these irons look like. So the Nike Vapor Pro, this is one of the last sets of irons that Nike put out. Really attractive looking club, to be honest with you. And the ones that I loved were Rory's prototype version that had none of the black other than the check. Or no, even the check wasn't even colored. It was all chrome, but the similar shape. Those things were sexy. Mm-hmm. And here he's got them all, another iron all taped up. Yep. So this man went back to 2015 to go get himself a set of irons and just feels like the contact is where it needs to be. I'm going to stop sharing this one and then pull up this YouTube video and just play a minute or two of this because he goes on and on for quite a while.
I'm still mad he went to the oven at that point. Like, bro, don't remind me that we don't have the oven no more.
I know. Well, if you
back
go
to
get
the
some
pros,
artisan
we had the
clubs.
pleasure of catching up with Paul Peterson, who just might have the last set of Nike irons left on the PGA Tour. He gave some great insight into his Nike set and why they're still in the bag.
They are slightly lower in spin than my previous set of irons, but the contact was so much better. It's just like, that's what we want. That's what we feed ourselves off of. It's like good contact. We can fix curve. We can fix that stuff. It's like if it's not hitting in the right spot in the face, then there's your first problem. Mm-hmm. And my tendency was thin. And I feel like with most guys' speed going up, I haven't quite picked up that speed increase. So you're seeing a lot more camber on the bottom of the soles. Yeah. And Mike Taylor and those guys designed those soles to be a little closer from like the contact point on the face to where that sole starts is very small and helps me get into the turf a little bit better and get that strike point in the right part of the face. So all of it kind of came off of some frustration of not hitting my numbers with my irons. And I picked up a set that my wife actually brought to an event in England because my clubs were stuck in Ireland. So I had her make me up a backup set from the clubs that I won with in Europe in 2016. And those irons were part of that backup set. And I had to play them on Thursday and hit my irons better with those irons than I did Friday when my gamer set came. And then I was just kind of getting a little bit frustrated last year through the beginning part of the year. I mixed in a different golf ball, and so that was just exacerbating the spin and the carry numbers being all over the map.
All right, I'm gonna kill it. Hey, man's nerding out though on his clubs, and
bro was mad he couldn't bring out the 20xi resin ball.
I know, right? Jesus Christ, he's really getting into it. I have never even heard somebody talk about the camber on the bottom of a club to that level of detail. Like, we just do not get to hear that very often. But super neat that he's that in touch with contact and knowing like what works best for him, and not being exactly the most maybe physically gifted player, that he's got to kind of get it done with the tools that are available to him. So I just thought that was a really cool connection, and also an appreciation for the design that Nike was bringing to the table. I think they were really onto some stuff, but weren't able to pick up enough momentum, I guess, quick enough to make it make sense for them financially, right? Nike's a big company where golf is really just a small part of their marketing. I think we even saw that last driver that was unreleased, how sexy that thing was going to be, with kind of like a pink check and the black cover, or the matte driver with the kind of pinkish check. I think would have been super dope.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. I felt like they made some of the best quality stuff on the market at the time. It's just a real shame, man, because those Nike Engage wedges felt amazing. I didn't necessarily like the rusting myself, but they had way too much spin for the amount of distance that they were covering. Like, that was my only hang up. I'm literally checking the loft. I'm like, this my Vokey wedge is a 54 as well. What's the deal?
Like, what's the deal? I would say that I think I bought one just to trial it out, and I could never, I was never satisfied with that thing.
I had 50, 54, 58. I was so disappointed. Now, 58 around the green, amazing, because of all the spin it was producing. But as far as like hitting full shots and stuff like that, it was a no-go. But I mean, the OG Nike Method putters, Rod, fire. Insert, fire. Reception, great. One of the OG center shafted putters you would ever see was a Method Nike center shafted mallet, and I had one, but I could not keep the face square to save my life at that point, because they didn't do
different time, right?
Yeah, they weren't doing square to square there. I mean, just think about the innovation. We talking about the covert driver with the pocket. Yo, the first true, like, just like swing it as hard as you can, and you're gonna be all right.
You were truly safe. So I ended up starting off with the red one. I think I ended up going and upgrading to the matte black one, which is still in the garage. I think I pulled it out maybe a couple years ago when I was struggling with driver. Not as long as
jealous of that.
Not as good, not as long as the new stuff.
No.
But still very forgiving. Very forgiving.
Hey, listen, I had that blue Nike Tour driver for the longest, bro. It was amazing. 75 grams stiff shaft, Rogue Max. I was lighting it up. I mean, can hit that thing anywhere. Remember, we went on that Arizona trip. I was striping it with that driver. I did not miss hardly a fairway, bro. Nary a fairway with that thing.
Super true. Well, that's our topic list. We're gonna make we've been struggling with the show. You know, life's been punching us in the face a little bit.
Life's been life.
But I feel like I'm back. I got a second wind. We start bringing back some of the amateur stuff back out, tips and tricks, and kind of hotly contested things that we used to talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like we're about to get into the meat of the golf season. The LPGA has hit their stride. I think they're going to after their Asian swing. I think they take a couple of weeks off. But we're going to see some elevated events an elevated event this week, and then we get to see the Players Championship, and then we're going to be into the Masters pretty shortly thereafter. DP World Tour, I always love seeing the Joburg Open, always a good run as well. So lots of good golf. We're getting into the good part of the season. Across the U.S., people are getting decent weather back. I know Texas is warming up. We're getting some 70-degree days, so we're officially back at it. Not that we ever really shut down, but it's funner to play in the 70s than it is in 50-degree weather with the sweater.
No, 1,000%, 1,000%, bro.
Anything you want to hit before we call it a night?
Damn, man, 3 weeks before we get to LPGA again. Then they'll be stateside. Nelly and the girls will be back. I don't know. I mean, so they do the March 27th is Ford. Very next week, they got match play. So I'm excited about that. I don't know, bro. I'm excited about how my game's going. So as you know, chat, me and Rod are not heavy into YouTube teaching, but once we find somebody we like them a lot. So I've been trying out Andrew Porzak. Andrew Porzak has a lot of good things to say. It is just not translated into what I need to be doing on my swing. So it's like, because he has a lot of good information. I just think sometimes he thinks it's a little bit easier to accomplish than what it really is, especially for amateurs and limited physical ability people. But to me, it just didn't translate. That's what it came down to. But Sean Foley is back in the fold.
Oh God, Sean's too technical for me. Can I tell you somebody who?
No,
go ahead.
Sean,
talk about him, and I'll talk about somebody that I found recently. Not found, but rediscovered. But Sean Foley, what do you think about him?
Sean Foley's not really all that technical. I mean, I think he is trying to get you to just be as athletic as possible as you swing. And if you now, I think it gets boggled down, and they think he's technical because of the Pro Sender, but the Pro Sender is like a self-help trainer. It's designed to get you to get yourself in the right wrist movements and what part of the swing you feel the most comfortable doing it. So for me, like takeaway, making sure I'm getting enough width, not necessarily thinking about getting it back here and getting it parallel. But if I get this same kind of distance away from my body, I'm still creating width, and I'll still be able to clear and get a lot of speed through the ball. So that's really what's been translating for me. So as far as speed goes and ball contact, I feel like it's been coming back and a little bit more consistent as far as that goes. Now,
and is that just because you're playing more, or is that based on a tip that you've gotten that you're implementing?
I mean, just the tips, really, because I felt like when I was in Sedona, I felt like I was still kind of in between the two. And then when I came back and when I played in Houston, just these last couple of rounds and stuff like that, I felt like it really kind of hit like, no, get the club away from you and still, feel like you're firing. And I felt like the speed was back and the driver was back. Like I was at least not contacting it out of the, heel of the face. It was more center contact and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's just me personally. Like I said, everything is personal as far as teaching goes. And Sean is just what translated to me at the moment. That shit could fall off in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Tips. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So a guy that I've been catching more recently and been in my feed on Instagram is Keith Bennett Golf. I think he's in the Pacific Northwest, but he's been really emphasizing using like a paddle, like attaching like a paddle or holding on to a paddle. Maybe it's just a straight training aid, keeping the face square. And that has like really triggered something like a thought, because I know occasionally if I get sloppy, even though my irons have been doing pretty damn well, I can't hit a driver right now to save my life, but my irons saving me. But when I lose my irons and contact starts really fading, it's because I get flippy on my takeaway, and I'm opening that face up and then having to figure out how to get back square at impact. But yeah, just the visual and feel of that paddle or some kind of racket, really insightful. And I think he's got a bunch of simplified tips. And of course, it's on Instagram, so it's pretty concise information. But yeah, like we always say, there's somebody out there for you online that does training and tips. Find that person. Find the person that speaks a language that you understand and translates in your brain, and then stick with their tips, because then it's going to keep resonating. And if they put out enough content, they're going to say something about whatever you're struggling with at the time. So, yeah, we always advocate for YouTube Golf. Has come a long way from when Mark Crossfield was the only guy out there, followed by, Rick Shields shortly thereafter. Oh, rough accent Rick Shields, who has disappeared. I've seen one or two clips of his live content that they've been putting out, but it's not life changing. Let's just say that.
Good luck, Rick.
I know. Hopefully he's still got the views coming in from his own YouTube. But
yeah.
All right, y'all. That's another week in the books. Like I said, feeling reinvigorated. Getting back to things that work for us, that are really good and fun. But also, we'll keep brainstorming on new things we want to bring to the channel. So, Bearder Bros Golf Show, we'll be back at it again next week, discussing all the fun golf we're probably going to experience from across the world. And yeah, we're doing this thing every week. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
We'll catch you then. Later.